IQ is dropping by a second. Sorry. How long is
we're just starting because previously funded, now we're just starting.
Okay. Hello, Internet.
So
welcome all of you meetup guests. Welcome back again for those who have been here before at the Microsoft Store in Bellevue Square Mall. My name is Glenn Burnett. I'm with Startup Bellevue. I want to thank all of the Startup Bellevue people for helping to organize this. Let us be clear that I'm not the organizer here. I'm just the person who is the voice for you. I have some really great individuals who help to organize this all the time. So let's just make sure that we know where that blame lands. Great Alicia over here, she helps to coordinate. I'll introduce a little bit of a segment where we'll do a 60-second pitch where you get an opportunity for you to stand up, talk about yourself, what issue you're looking at, what business solution you have to overcome that issue, and then what resources you need to be able to accomplish that. Now, Startup Bellevue is very interested in understanding these things because we have access to a lot of great interns out there. There are a lot of schools that have interns, that have students that are looking to do internships with companies. They want to have that startup feel, and that startup feel is not just the idea of starting a business right from scratch, but sometimes it's a business that's starting from within another company. So entrepreneurship, we know that's the same as entrepreneurship, except you have the support of a company. What we're going to do today, just because of the fact that we have a really great guest who has iterated from the concept of the business all the way to getting the investment in a very short period of time, I'm going to mirror that kind of pace, and I'm going to step out of the way here for Jeffrey McIntosh, who is going to tell us about his journey to go from concept to investment as it pertains to his experience with tea. Let's give us all a warm round of applause for Jeffrey McIntosh, and he's going to take us through his business story. Thank you so much.
I don't usually talk into a microphone, so hopefully you all will be okay. I can do this. How many people here today have been to Chinese prison? Not so many people? Doesn't sound like such a good place to hang out. My name is Jeffrey McIntosh, and I unfortunately did spend a week in Chinese prison. Now that was about 5 years ago, but there are certain things in our lives we might take that risk for. Maybe our family, our wife, our kids. What about your job or work? What about just an idea? Now, that was over 5 years ago, and I've done a lot of things since then. I've been in the tea industry for over about 6 years now. I've done consulting work. I've started a number of small tea companies, some of which are still in existence today and generating revenue. And I've done a lot of consulting work with some of the bigger players. I've done supply chain diligence, supply chain validation, and I've really been on the ground in remote villages in China. I've worked with gardens directly, and it really has taken me on this kind of path that I didn't really know started out. And I loved tea. So when I was 17 years old, this is a while ago, I was double majoring in college, and a full-time job, 2 full-time jobs, and I was really overworked, unhealthy, self-destructive, and I walked into a tea shop in Chinatown for a photography project. And I didn't really think much of it, and this woman prepared a cup of high mountain oolong tea from Taiwan. And I didn't know much about tea. It was like there's tea bag and there's tea, and what's the big difference? And for the first time in a long while, weight was lifted from my shoulder, and I felt peace, and I felt clarity. So 2 weeks later, I quit my college degrees, and I quit my high-paying job, and I worked in this little Chinatown tea shop for over a year without pay. And then later on, I was invited to go to China to go visit some of these tea gardens, only for about 2 weeks. And from there, I was invited to study under a tea master. This time, I didn't speak any Chinese. I didn't know anything about the culture. I was like 18 years old, and I'm super happy. Oh, I know a culture, I know a country, and I'm traveling. It's so fun. And I didn't really know what was ahead of me. So I took the apprenticeship. 6 months later, I had a 6-month expired visa. I ended up in Chinese prison. I was trying to export tea. That didn't go well. Didn't have any business license or import-export license. And then I was then bailed out by my tea master, and then we went to LA. And I actually lived on their basement floor, and she taught me everything about the tea industry, Chinese business, and Chinese culture. I then became fluent in Chinese. I learned a lot about different cultures. It really took me on this roller coaster. A year later, I opened a company, Macintosh Tea, which was essentially searching for the most high-quality, premium, pure tea out of Yunnan, China. And then I would bring it back to the States, and then I would export it to Russia, to a very select few people. And that business didn't really have any ground or foundation. I had no business sense. I just loved tea, and I knew where to find great tea, and I shipped it to a few select people. And then this past May, I developed a business plan to do larger scale business, wholesale, get quality tea to Americans, because there isn't really a quality aspect. So I developed a business plan. I went to some of my advisors and mentors, and I was like, I have this great idea. And they're like, well, I know this guy, Aditi Arizzi, he's had this Founders Institute. So this is like 48 hours before the deadline. So I submit my application. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to get into this program. It's impossible. I have no business background. And then they accepted my application, and they called me up and like, guys want to come in? And I'm like, sure. So within 48 hours, they sent me to the program, and there were 45 candidates that got accepted. Within 2 weeks, 50% of them were dropped. And then this past 2 or 3 weeks ago, we graduated with 3 people out of the original program. And so Teabook was born from that. And Teabook is essentially, it's a unique thing. We have huge partnerships throughout China with 35 different tea gardens in 7 different provinces, all of which pass EU certification. So our supply chain is incredible. We have professors from the Yunnan Agricultural Tea Science University that go to all the gardens and oversee the process. We have one of the best, highest quality teas in the market at the most competitive price. So I was trying to figure out how can I leverage those networks and bring it to the United States, because I've always been very rehearsed in culture and history, but you can't sell people in America culture and history and education. You have to kind of wrap it up in a beautiful experience and use tea as a vehicle. And there's this big growing understanding of subscription models, and everyone's heard of Dollar Shave Club and Birchbox and all this big craze. And I spent a few weeks studying these in the Founders Institute, why subscription companies are successful. And it didn't get me very far. And I started to look at all the subscription companies that failed. And a big part of failing subscription companies are quality and retention. Retention is key. So I knew I had the quality, so how was I going to get people into the program? You can't just sell them the best quality tea because you have no differentiator, because no one knows the difference between good and great tea. There's a lot of miseducation. There's no standard in the tea market. If you think of coffee, you might think of Starbucks. If you think of tea, it's a little bit of a blank spot. There's a lot of companies right now that are trying to create new standards, new packaging, new names, new colors, etc. But really, in the last year, 25% growth was in loose leaf teas, white tea and green tea in particular. Now these are keywords, green tea, white tea. So really you should keep it really simple. So I said, well, I have this huge selection of teas. I'm going to sell white, green, oolong, and red tea. I'm going to keep it really simple. I'm going to get loose leaf, seasonally selected teas from the garden to the consumer in under 90 days, and give them a new selection of tea every single month. And so there's a lot of friction points with tea. So you have water temperature, you have tea to water ratio, and how long you steep the tea. So all I see that as a consumer in America is friction. You go to a tea store, you fall in love with the tea, you go home, and how does that apply to my life, and how am I going to make that tea? So how am I going to take that away? So we went to these gardens, we measured teas, and then we measured them in ounce containers, and then we found a beautiful 10-ounce teacup or tumbler. It's durable and you can travel with it. Then we have portion packs, kind of like a tea bag, but without the tea bag. It just holds the loose leaf tea. We put it in there at 1.5 grams, depending on the genre of tea. It can change. So that way the consumer opens the box, they have the tea, they open the portion pack, put it directly in the tumbler with the built-in filter, and you drink it. So the only thing you have to worry about is the water temperature. There's this big growing health and wellness industry, and people are looking for alternatives to Coke and coffee and soda and all these different things, and they've heard of tea. You know, Oprah Chai is blowing up, and then you have Teavana and David's Teas. But how do you make it so someone hears about it and can instantly consume that beverage? And so that's when Teabook was really born. We cultivated this idea, and so in May we opened our C corporation, really with no prototypes at all. And everyone was slacking me, oh, where's your validation? Where's your customer validation? Do people want to buy this? But I really believe my first experience with tea, that quality product changed my life. And I know it will change other people's lives. So I just got a Square reader. I went up to people I knew, and I was like, I don't have any capital to open this company. So a great way to do customer development is, hey, I'm going to give you a 2-minute pitch about my Teabook idea in quality tea. Do you like it? You have a credit card now? Or give me $20. And whenever I get the product, I'll send it to you. And so we got a huge response. We generated over $1,000 in revenue, and then we used some of that money to essentially start to develop a prototype idea, develop a business plan, contact the suppliers, and I was like, I don't have capital yet, but can you front me the tea at like 10% down, and then I'll essentially pay you back when we sell it. So they were like, fantastic, we love the idea. So I pitched it to all my suppliers. I found out which people really trusted in me. And then we got a tea product. And then when we graduated, the Founders Institute brought more kind of credibility to us. And then I started to pitch it to a lot of VCs and angels, and they're still like, we don't believe there's a market, it's not validated. So I said, fine, just give me enough for the product. I've developed the product, we've designed it, it's beautiful, and we'll get the product out. So that's what they did. They gave us the $75,000 investment to develop the product, get it all over here. And that's where the stage we're at now. We're shipping in September. So we started in May, so we go from idea to concept to pre-seed investment to shipment in September. And we have over 100 people waiting to receive the Teabooks, and that's without any marketing or advertising yet. So it was one of the fastest companies I've ever kind of opened. So right after graduation, now I need like content, and I need to show people like where the tea is. So we flew to Changsha, Yunnan. A lot of these tea gardens are at 1,200 meters high. This is Mr. Sheng. I've known him for quite a while. And he's going to develop his first batch of tea for Teabook, about 15 kilos, so not a lot. And then we have a few. Mr. Duan is my Chinese partner. He's been in the industry for 35 years. He exports on an annual basis about 80 tons of tea. So we worked with him for a while, and we wanted to do something unique. A lot of tea companies will go to a province and say, hey, I want to open a tea company, it's all price and numbers. So you go to Yunnan, and you want white, green, oolong, red tea, and so of course they're going to sell that to you. Unfortunately, the truth is those teas don't grow in one province. In order to have really quality tea and have a competitive price, you need to have the correct tea varietal, it needs to be grown in the right region, and it needs to have the right process. If you have these 3 components, you don't need to use pesticides or fertilizers. It's the Camellia sinensis, variety sinensis, is a self-sustaining plant. So it's been growing in China for thousands of years. If you want good oolong or good Teaguanian, you should go to Anxi, Fujian. You should find a Teaguanian producer who's been producing oolong for 300 years. You get a great product at a great price. It's the same thing with red teas, white teas, etc. That's why we have partners in 7 different provinces to get a really competitive price. So we work with a lot of small farms, and we essentially buy them out so they can have a steady revenue, and we keep quality really high. We don't go to one garden and then say, hey, we need to double production, because they're going to have to use fertilizers, they're going to have to use pesticides, and we would jeopardize quality. When you jeopardize quality, you have to start to add things to the tea. It tastes good. But tea is good on its own. It's been very successful for thousands of years. You don't really need to add anything to it. You essentially just need to get a good product to start with. And that's like a super one-on-one crash course of what's kind of been going on the past 6 years. But really, I want to open up the questions and answers because there's a variety of people here, and I don't really know where I should talk or kind of pinpoint. That's a little bit of background on me. I'm happy to kind of open up the questions and answers about anything about Teabook or my Founders Institute story or anything I've done in the past with wholesale. And yeah, so that's kind of where I've been. So yeah, let's do some questions.
So you say that you have some orders that are supposed to ship in September. Where are you shipping to?
We're only shipping in the United States. So I would say about 40% of those people are in Washington. And we just got on board with a number of agencies to do marketing, and we don't have a huge budget, so we said, hey, can we do a contract where it's increments based on growth? And so a lot of we got some really high level expertise that we're bringing on to start marketing that when we launch.
What's the plan and roadmap of your September shipments?
The roadmap for marketing?
Well, after what's happening?
Sure. So we just set up distribution and fulfillment and logistics services, so it can all be streamed, and I can start to focus on kind of presenting more of my story and my plan. We've partnered with Food Track Mind, who's one of the big marketing strategies of non-GMO project. And they're going to implement a strategy. We're going to hit all of the tea festivals throughout the country. So it's about two events a month to kind of get our name out. Because the most important part about quality tea is that moment you drink it. That's the turning point. So we want to get our teas in the hands of as many people as possible. Now, that's really organic growth. That happens slowly. So we've developed a really huge list of like bloggers, unboxing people. We have a beautiful box. And we've started to contact with them. We found people that are kind of interested in tea, but health and lifestyle or yoga. And we're just going to send them tons and tons of boxes. So like 100 boxes to 100 different people. They'll write up blogs, and then we can get a little bit more exposure.
How about from the business side of things? What about break even? Have you projected? Right, of course.
It's a great question. So as a product company, it's difficult. Like there's huge investment in upfront, and to really get any validation, you have to put a product into someone's hands. So there has to be a really strong belief that it's going to work. And I just in my experience with the industry, I know tea will work. But there's two different ways to do it. We can bootstrap where we're at, do 70,000 and do some organic growth, and we're looking at probably covering that investment in less than a year. But we really want to ramp up growth faster. So we are going to be looking for a seed in September. I was thinking about doing a seed investment now, but the biggest kind of component is where's your growth, where's your numbers. So we couldn't ship in August, so we had to delay. So I just grabbed a bunch of those seeds, put it in bags, and started going to events and chocolate events and selling it. That way there's numbers on our books. So when we reach the September, there's an actual growth over 2 months, and it's more realistic to get investment. And if that's the case, then we're actually going to build partners with investors to have mutual benefit, and then the profitability will be a little bit delayed, but hopefully we can get higher numbers faster. Good question.
This might be a silly question like this. So are you going to be sending
so he asked kind of about distribution, and so where that tea is coming from China to the user in America. I've dealt with China a lot. The worst thing you could do is send from China to the end user in America, because the customs, you don't know what's going to happen. It's a horrible customer service experience, and you have no real control over that. So we have a system from our manufacturer and distributor who will pick up all the teas and take them to port in Seattle, and then take them directly to our distribution facility. And then they receive the container, and then they assemble all the Teabooks here in the United States. Yeah, and then it can be all monetized and automated with our back end of e-commerce. Also,
I wanted to know, when it comes to the process, how long does it think it usually takes to go from the field to the actual end of the consumer?
So great question. You kind of asked where from the tea comes from the garden or to the consumer, and how long that takes. Right now, it's a little bit delayed, looking at 100 days. We really want to get to garden to your doorstep in under 90 days, which would be outrageous, because no one really has built a supply chain and able to do that, especially from 7 different provinces in China. So we have the freshest tea, the highest quality, and a really affordable price point. But yeah, we want to get it to 90 days. Right now, it's about 100.
So it seems that getting it down to that delivery point helps, because if you have a good price point, an affordable price point for people, you got to make up your margins in the process, right? Yep. So now this is part of your expertise. I was wondering a little bit earlier that your supply chain management. Can you talk to us a little bit about your experience in supply chain?
Sure. It works very differently in some places like China than it does here in America. A lot of it's based on relationships and trust, which is difficult, especially as a white foreigner going to China. It does help that I speak the language. But essentially the biggest hurdle is like the FDA registrations and making sure your manufacturer is essentially kind of legal with all international standards. But so that's why over the past 6 years we found people that do pass FDA, that test all the T's for EU, that even have some organic certifications. And if they've taken that step, they usually have a good deal on distribution. Now, for our side, I've dealt with independent distribution, but what we've done is we found a company that we were working with, who's based in the US and China. So they'll pick up from any location in China, and they will take the material and be responsible from it, from truck to port to Seattle, from the Seattle port to distribution. That's one company that's handling that. And that's really, being able to work with them has saved us a lot of hardship. And they apply with like United States insurance kind of background, so you're really safe in that regard. And finding a partner like that was really important. The biggest, hardest thing is getting that tea from like 1,200 meters down, processed to the distribution center, and then sent over. And that took a little bit longer. We actually couldn't be able to produce Teabook 2 years ago because there wasn't the roads implemented. There was no one going to the tea gardens once a month. They would happen twice a year. So this is, in the last 2 years, this is the first time we were able to do such a high quality product in such a short amount of time.
How is that different than domestic supply chain?
In China or in the US?
In the US.
I've never really dealt much with the United States side. I usually have a fulfillment center here in the United States that's always done that for us. I've tried to do it in the past. It's just, it costs more. You have to build a whole team. You have to build a warehouse, distribution center. But now with things like ShipStation, you can go to like a fulfillment center and you can build an XMLI interface and have that connect to inventory management. And it's always way easier to outsource those things.
Can you talk more about your core team and what skills they bring and what the dynamics and so on?
Great question. So with all my other companies, I was a sole founder and sole employee. With Macintosh team, we didn't go very far with that, but a little bit over 100,000 revenue. That was just by myself. So when I created Teabook, I'm still a sole founder. And I'm really good at surrounding myself with advisors and mentors because there's people that know how to do it better than I and outsource everything but what I'm good at. And there's three things for Teabook that I cannot outsource or contract out. One is setting up the foundation for Teabook, supply chain, etc. Second is selling my story, and the third is interacting with the customer and serving team. Everything else we go to essentially strategy firms, content firms, CPA firms, conversion firms, and we go to them, and what I do as a CEO is you have to constantly be selling. So I can't hire firms and outsource them as a startup. So what you do is you pitch them your idea, you say how you're going to be the biggest, greatest, best thing in the world, and then you sign a contract saying, I can't pay you this month to month. So just sign like a 3-4 month contract, and I promise to pay you this much money in 2 months, and then we increase it in 3 months, increase it in 4 months, and then you have the best people on your team. Because if you really settle and you start to hire people that are okay, that you can afford, you're gonna essentially, there's gonna be a time frame where you're gonna have to tell them to leave the company. And if you really want to grow really fast, you have to get the best people. So always find firms with the best people and say, believe in me. I'll get you the money when we get there. We sign a contract, a 3-4 month agreement. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. If it does, then we all kind of benefit. And I really believe success is not an individual. And I never approach someone saying, I want you to help me for my success. I want to make the people I work with more successful than I am. And I really want to be the dumbest person in the room. So if I'm having a marketing meeting and my marketing team knows less than I know, or I have a solution to the problem, they're the wrong people to have on my company. But everything I contract out constantly. Right now, we have a really small team. We have an intern from Georgia Tech for the summer to kind of get it off the ground. And then I got Mark Z, who I've known for about 6 years. His family's been in the agricultural big business in China for a long time. So he'll go to the next step. So I'll go start talking to the partners in China, and then he'll do like extreme diligence and validation with those people, talk technical details. So it's just essentially myself and Mark Z at the moment. We also can start to sample little tea. It's gonna be a little China farmer style. None of the products are here yet, but we can start to boil a little bit of water, put some leaves in the cup. A lot of this tea was picked less than 2 months ago. It's super tasty. At that point, we can mingle. You all can share, we can kind of exchange contact information. I'd be happy to find a way for us to collaborate or for mutual benefit. I'm always open to that. Talk to anyone I can. So feel free to ask more. I'd be happy to talk about it. But thanks, everyone. All right, we'll get some tea going.
Yeah. I do. Yes.
Yeah. Financial-wise? Essentially, you get someone who's not willing to sell products. It's difficult to get your product. So they don't somehow enabling the sales.
Good. I want to thank you for being so awesome.
So if you have a UK employee or
You're amazing. And
no way to do it so
yes.
it's like the reason I'm going so fast. Like I had a house, so yeah, I know. Not
So I volunteer with
You're like, well, I got you already. Yeah, what?
But that is the biggest thing. So
Yeah, sometimes everything.
and I'm gonna make a habit of Thursday.
But then also someone I know. So this
The folks who are to see this over the last
yeah, it did.
I
I remember
four
you
to 6 months, I've been doing this. Like, just keep going, keep going. And getting people to show up. And we look at wonderful business we have. We have this.
I was
How are you doing now? It's a great community out there.
For now, we have
Yeah.
tea time. It's tea time. For all you custodians out there, it's tea time.
I know.
Yes, actually, I could help you out over here. There's one right here.
Get teed up every time.
I think this is great. So is he just eating this up right now?
I think it's our top.
Okay. Am I going to be the first person to sample this, or are we going to get
Oh yeah. Yeah, we always have good ones. Next one is going to be he's a motivational speaker, like leadership speaker. But he's kind of like the same genre. It's like he hasn't been like 6 years. But that guy is just now by himself. So, I don't know. Check it out. The one I found out, like everyone was head demo, and then we got to buy it. Yeah, so we gotta have something. They'll throw in some software, they'll throw in some like payment security, social security. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's a network. Everyone is either trying to learn so they can better the company or start. We just try to get build up. This one. Thursday. I'm going to pick because how are you guys? I feel like it's cool that we get to see all different. We're just starting to double. But we're just like, we're too smart for that. This is like our own team. So I'm making our own CRM database. We can do it in 3 days. We go out and set up Yeah.